The 2024-2025 NFL season is upon us, and there are so many questions going into it. Can the Chiefs pull off a three-peat? How will the kickoff rule truly change the game? Is Saquon Barkley the Eagles' replacement for the tush push? Will Caleb Williams live up to the hype? Will the Dolphins disappoint me yet again this year? There are so many questions about the future, but maybe we can actually answer those questions by looking back at history. If history repeats itself, I thought I have a YouTube channel where I talk about movies and do a lot of cinematic universe watch order videos, whether it be movies about the Bible, the DreamWorks theory, or even the Lego franchise. So I decided to make this video on the watch order for all of the NFL documentaries. It's a lot of fun watching shows like Hard Knocks as the season goes on to get that inside scoop, and watching The Last Dance during COVID gave NBA fans something to rally around outside of the actual NBA season. So let's do it for the NFL. So, welcome to Big Flick Energy, and let's discuss the NFL documentary watch order. And we start with NFL icons Jim Brown. A look at Jim Brown's legendary career with the Cleveland Browns from 1957 to 1965, highlighting his dominant playing style and lasting impact on the NFL, including his iconic 1963 season where he rushed for 1,863 yards in just 14 games, a record that stood for over 20 years. This is followed by the Ice Bowl, which is the Super Bowl in 1967, a documentary on the iconic NFL championship game between the Packers and the Cowboys, played in brutal cold conditions where Bart Starr's game-winning quarterback sneaked in the final seconds of the Ice Bowl to win the 1967 championship for the Packers. Just for reference, the recorded temperature at the Ice Bowl was minus 13 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, if you're watching this video, I'm assuming that you think that football is football, that it's American, so I'm assuming you use Fahrenheit, not Celsius, but if you use Celsius, that's negative 25 degrees Celsius, 248.15 Kelvin, 446.67 ranking. Let's move on. We move on to Vince Lombardi, the coach who put Green Bay on the map. It chronicles Vince Lombardi's tenure with the Packers from 1959 to 1969, where he built a football dynasty and became one of the most legendary coaches in NFL history. It shows him leading the Packers to victory in the first two Super Bowls, 66 and 67, and establishing his undying legacy in the league. Next up, we have A Football Life, Fearsome, Foursome. Also, just for some context, this entire watch order for all these documentaries, so there was actually going to be a lot more because there's this show called A Football Life, which has about 150 episodes. It's probably not 150, it's somewhere around there. But there are a lot of episodes. The only problem is you really can't find a lot of them online. Half of them are on Amazon Prime, or probably 10% of them are on Amazon Prime. And then I was able to find a lot of them through this one YouTube channel. So if you do want to check them out, you can find it on this YouTube channel. But A Football Life, it's a weird show where I don't know why they decided to only have seasons 8 through 10 on Prime, and not even all the episodes from 8 through 10. But we move on, so we have A Football Life, Fearsome, Foursome, taking place in the 1960s, which focuses on the Los Angeles Rams' famed defensive line featuring Deacon Jones, Merlin Olsen, Rosie Greer, and Lamar Lundy, one of the most feared groups in NFL history. Fun fact, Deacon Jones, a member of the Foursome, popularized the term sack and was renowned for his head slap technique, revolutionizing pass rushing. After, we have Namath, a profile of Joe Namath, the charismatic New York Jets quarterback from 65 to 77, who guaranteed and delivered a Super Bowl win in 1969. It focuses on his iconic guarantee and subsequent victory in Super Bowl III, when the Jets defeated the heavily favored Baltimore Colts. This is followed by All Madden. It explores John Madden's coaching career, focusing on his impact with the Oakland Raiders and his transformation into a broadcasting legend. In his career, we see him lead the Oakland Raiders to a victory in Super Bowl XI, marking his first and only Super Bowl as a head coach. This is then followed by A Football Life, Mike Ditka. It's a deep dive into Ditka's career as both a player and coach, highlighting his leadership of the dominant 85 Bears, who he coached to a Super Bowl XX victory, their only Super Bowl title, capped off by one of the most dominant defenses in NFL history. And we will definitely get back to talking about that 85 Bears team. But for now, we move on to Roger Staubach, A Football Life. It chronicles the life and career of Dallas Cowboys quarterback who led the team to 2 Super Bowl victories, alongside showing his legendary Hail Mary pass to Drew Pearson in the 1975 NFC Divisional Playoff game against the Minnesota Vikings. After, we have A Football Life, Tom Landry. It's a tribute to legendary Dallas Cowboys head coach Tom Landry, known for his innovative schemes and steady leadership over 3 decades, including him leading the Dallas Cowboys to their first Super Bowl victory in Super Bowl VI, cementing his status as a coaching legend. We follow up with A Football Life, John Riggins. It focuses on the powerful running back's career, including his Super Bowl MVP performance with Washington and his iconic 43-yard touchdown run in Super Bowl XVII, securing the win for the Washington Redskins. Next up, we have Night of the Living Steelers. It's a look at the dominant Pittsburgh Steelers dynasty of the 1970s, which won 4 Super Bowls under coach Chuck Noll. We see how the Pittsburgh Steelers' steel curtain defense dominated Super Bowl IX, holding the Minnesota Vikings to just 119 total yards and no offensive touchdowns. Just going to say that would probably be a very boring Super Bowl to watch. I would not want to see one team only get 119 total yards, but I guess that just speaks to how dominant that defense was. And this is followed up by A Tale of Two Cities Part 1, following up on that with the Steelers once again. And it's a comparison of the fortunes of the Pittsburgh Steelers and Oakland Raiders during the 1970s, two of the NFL's top franchises. In this era, we'll see the immaculate reception by Franco Harris in the 1972 AFC Divisional Playoff game between the Steelers and Raiders, and is one of the most famous plays in NFL history. After, we have Terry Bradshaw Going Deep. It's a documentary about, once again, Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Terry Bradshaw and his leadership during the team's 1970s dynasty, including throwing 4 touchdown passes in Super Bowl XIII, leading the Pittsburgh Steelers to the 3rd championship. So, something else that you're going to notice while we're running through all these documentaries is sometimes they just repeat documentaries. There's probably 5 Tom Brady documentaries. I put 3 of them in this list, and a lot of them just repeat a lot of info. But I guess when somebody's that good, it's worth talking about. This is followed up by A Football Life, Drew Pearson. It highlights the career of Dallas Cowboys wide receiver Drew Pearson and is famous for his clutch performances and the Hail Mary, which we'll see for the second time in this back Roger Staubach's perspective, and we'll now see it from the receiver's perspective. After, we have A Football Life, Lyle Alzado. It's a story about the intense and controversial defensive lineman, known for his fearsome play and tragic death linked to steroid use. Here we'll also see Alzado's ferocity on the field as it was showcased in Super Bowl XVIII. He helped the Raiders to a dominant victory over the Redskins. After is A Football Life, Earl Campbell, and it celebrates the bruising, running style of Earl Campbell, who dominated the NFL with the Houston Oilers, including his 1978 Monday Night Football game against my Miami Dolphins, where he rushed touchdowns. I'm very happy that I was not allowed to see that. Then we move on, and as I mentioned before, we're back with the 85 Bears with the documentary, The 85 Bears. It's a recount of the 1985 Chicago Bears Super Bowl winning season, led by a historic defense and the larger-than-life personalities of players and coaches, including the Chicago Bears' Super Bowl XX victory, highlighted by their dominant defense and the infamous Super Bowl Shuffle. After, we have NFL icons, Walter Payton. It's a tribute to the late Walter Payton, one of the NFL's greatest running backs, known for his incredible versatility and toughness, including breaking the NFL's all-time rushing record in 1984. Jim Brown's mark, cementing Payton's play. Dwight Clark. It examines the career of Dwight Clark, famous for the catch, a game-winning play that defined the San Francisco 49ers dynasty after that 1981 NFC Championship game. Next is A Football Life, Steve Largent. It chronicles the Hall of Fame career of Seattle Seahawks wide receiver Steve Largent, known for his precise route running and reliability. We'll see him catching his 100th career touchdown pass, a milestone that solidified his place in NFL history. Next up, we have A Football Life, Bill Walsh. It examines the career of 49ers coach Bill Walsh, who revolutionized the game with his West Coast offense. We'll see him leading the San Francisco 49ers to victory in Super Bowl XVI, marking the first of his 3 Super Bowl titles. Another thing, I know that I'm jumping around a lot with the Super Bowl order. I mentioned Super Bowl XX before, and now I'm mentioning Super Bowl XVI. But in reality, I just set up this watch order based on when these players played or when these teams teamed. So this is a perfect watch order. You can watch it in whatever order you want. You can really just watch the ones that you're interested in. You don't have to do this all. It's not like a cinematic universe where you have to watch one. So it's not that. This is real life. But with that, we followed up with A Football Life, Doug Williams, which follows his career and his Super Bowl run where he threw for 4 touchdown passes in Super Bowl XXII. Next up is NFL icons Mike Singletary. It highlights the career of Chicago Bears linebacker Mike Singletary, a defensive leader of the legendary '85 Bears. They're back, including his leadership and intensity, which helped the Bears become one of the dominant Super Bowl win. After is Deion's double play, which focuses on Deion Sanders' remarkable ability to play both professional football and baseball at the highest level simultaneously. We see him playing in both an NFL game for the Atlanta Falcons and a Major League playoff baseball game for the Atlanta Braves in a 24-hour span in 1992. That's pretty insane. I know a couple weeks ago I played basketball on a Saturday, then pickleball on Sunday, and then basketball again on Monday. My body was dead. So to play in two actual... So Deion, props to him. It couldn't be me. But with that, we followed up with Joe Montana, Cool Under Pressure, which chronicles the career of Joe Montana, focusing on his clutch performances and leadership in leading the San Francisco 49ers to 4 Super Bowl titles, including his game-winning drive in Super Bowl 23, capped by a touchdown pass to John Taylor with 34 seconds left to win the game. This is followed up by LT, The Life and Times. It's an exploration of the career and life of Lawrence Taylor, one of the most dominant and disruptive defenders in Washington Redskins quarterback Joe Theismann in 1985, which is fearsome defensive ability. All I know is if I were in the NFL at that time and I saw Lawrence Taylor absolutely destroy Joe Theismann, I would probably never play against him again. I would fake an injury before that game. But with that, we move on to Ronnie Lott, the hardest hitting safety of all time. It highlights the career of Hall of Fame safety Ronnie Lott, known for his ferocious hits and leadership on the 49ers defense. People talk about MJ's flu game and Kobe shooting free throws with the torn Achilles, but Ronnie did something that leaves those in the dust. In the 1985 season, also a lot of things happened in 1985 in the NFL, but in that season, Lott famously amputated part of his pinky finger rather than miss playoff games due to an injury. He had a choice, and he chose to play in the games and lose. It is extremely honorable to see a player do that, and it's something that I can't imagine a lot of players doing today. After, we have A Football Life, Eric Dickerson, which focuses on Eric Dickerson's Hall of Fame career, including his record-setting rushing season in 1984 with 2105 rushing yards that still stands today and in his iconic running style. We follow this up with The Two Bills, a documentary about the relationship between coaches Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick, who led dominant defenses and coached together with the Giants before becoming NFL legends on their own, including Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick leading the Giants to victory in Super Bowl 25 with a legendary defensive performance holding the Buffalo Bills' high-powered offense to 19 points. So, the two Bills defeated the Buffalo Bills. Afterwards, we have The Minister of Defense, which chronicles the life of Reggie White, the Hall of Fame defensive end who dominated the league and was also a prominent religious figure. We'll see him leading the Green Bay Packers defense in Super Bowl 31, with 3 sacks, helping secure their first title in nearly 30 years. This is followed up by NFL icons Jimmy Johnson, which highlights the career of Jimmy Johnson from his success coaching the Dallas Cowboys to winning 2 Super Bowls and rebuilding the Miami Hurricanes into a powerhouse. In his NFL career, though, we'll see him winning back-to-back Super Bowls in 1992 and 1993, with the Dallas Cowboys turning them into a 1990s dynasty. Next up, we have The Great Trade Robbery, which recounts the legendary trade of Herschel Walker, which helped the Dallas Cowboys acquire the assets they needed to build the dynasty in the 1990s. If I remember correctly, that trade included 17 picks or players going, which is insane to see. Next up, a follow-up on the first part of A Tale of Two Cities. We see the continued rivalry in A Tale of Two Cities Part 2 with the Steelers and Raiders rivalry, focusing on the new era in the 1990s. This is followed by So, a documentary on the life and career of Junior So, a Hall of Fame linebacker known for his impact on the field and tragic end, including his emotional performance in the 1994 AFC Championship game, where he made 16 tackles to send the Chargers to their first Super Bowl. Next up, we have Sports Century, Don Shula. It's a tribute to Don Shula, the NFL's winningest coach, who led the Miami Dolphins to multiple Super Bowls and the NFL's only. Now, this is something I wish I was alive for. But after that, we have NFL icons Marcus Allen. A look at the versatile and graceful running back Marcus Allen, who won Super Bowls and was known for his playoff performances with the Raiders and Chiefs, including his iconic 74-yard touchdown run in Super Bowl 28, which remains one of the longest runs in Super Bowl history. Next up is A Football Life, Jim Kelly. It follows the career of Jim Kelly, who led the Buffalo Bills to 4 consecutive Super Bowls, and his battle with cancer post-retirement. We'll see how he led the Buffalo Bills to 4 straight Super Bowl appearances, a feat that has not been replicated since. But it's also crazy to think that they did not win a single one of those 4 Super Bowls. So from that, we continue to Elway to Marino, which focuses on the 1983 NFL Draft, which produced legendary quarterbacks John Elway and Dan Marino, and how their careers evolved in the NFL. Here we'll see the drive in the 1986 AFC Championship game, where Elway led the Broncos 98 yards to tie the game and eventually win in overtime, and in what remains the highest scoring game in AFC Championship game history, Marino throwing for 421 yards and 4 touchdowns while leading the Dolphins to a 45-28 victory. These are 2 of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, so to see them both in this documentary is pretty special, especially considering they were in the same NFL draft. Now after this, we have NFL icons Steve Young. It chronicles the career of Steve Young from his struggles early in his career to becoming a Super Bowl champion and MVP with the 49ers, including his record-setting 6 touchdown performance in Super Bowl honors and leading the 49ers to victory. Next up, we actually have a documentary that came out last week from the Miami Dolphins. I'm not sure if other teams have been putting out these documentaries on their own pages, but since I am a Dolphins fan, I was able to see this one called Fish Tank Iconic, The Comeback. It details one of the greatest comebacks in NFL history, led by the Miami Dolphins and quarterback Dan Marino against the New England Patriots in the year 1994. And you can find this one on YouTube. It's pretty easy to find. Next up, we have Bye Bye Barry. It examines the shocking early retirement of Barry Sanders, one of the greatest running backs in NFL history, and his incredible career, including a 1997 game where he rushed for 216 yards, including 2 electrifying long touchdown runs. After is A Football Life, Charles Haley. It profiles his life, and it shows him as the only player to win 5 Super Bowls until a player known as Tom Brady would eventually leave that number in the dust. But this guy, Charles Haley, was known for his fierce play and complex personality. And this is followed up by A Football Life, Derek Thomas, which chronicles the life and career of Derek Thomas, the Chiefs linebacker whose career was cut short by tragedy. It shows his record-setting 7 sacks in a single game in 1990, a record that still stands today. Next up is A Football Life, Warren Moon. It explores the career of Warren Moon, an extremely successful quarterback in the NFL, and a record-setting passer who overcame numerous challenges. We'll see him throwing for 527 yards in a single game in 1990, one of the highest passing yard totals in NFL history. Next up is Thurman Thomas, A Football Life, which focuses on his Hall of Fame career with the Buffalo Bills, where he was a key part of their 4 Super Bowl runs, including his performance in Super Bowl 25, where he rushed for 135 yards and a touchdown despite the Bills' heartbreaking loss. Next is NFL icons Troy Aikman. It chronicles Troy Aikman's Hall of Fame career as the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, where he led them to 3 Super Bowl victories, including his MVP performance in Super Bowl 27. We follow this up with Bullies of Baltimore, a look at the 2000 Baltimore Ravens, who boasted one of the greatest defenses in NFL history, leading them to a dominant Super Bowl victory, including their defense holding the New York Giants to just 152 offensive touchdowns in Super Bowl 35. And later on, we will talk more about one specific player from this Ravens team, Ray Lewis. But for now, we follow this up with a football life Randall Cunningham. It follows Randall Cunningham's innovative and electric career as a dual-threat quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles and later the Minnesota Vikings, his spectacular 1990 season, where he combined for over 900 rushing and passing yards in back-to-back games, revolutionizing the quarterback position. Next up is NFL icons Chris Carter. It celebrates his career as one of the NFL's most reliable wide receivers, known for his spectacular catches and longevity, including catching his 1,000th pass in the year 2000, making him just the second player at the time to reach the milestone. After is Terrell Davis, a mile-high legend. It focuses on his brief but dominant career, including leading the Denver Broncos to 2 Super Bowl titles and a 2,000-yard rushing season, including his MVP performance in Super Bowl 32, rushing for 157 yards and 3 touchdowns, despite suffering from a migraine, helping the Denver Broncos win their first ever Super Bowl. Next up is The Greatest Show on Turf, which chronicles the St. Louis Rams' explosive offense led by Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, and Isaac Bruce, which led them to a Super Bowl win, including Kurt Warner's game-winning touchdown pass to Isaac Bruce in Super Bowl 34. Rams, their only Super Bowl title. That's when they would win again. Next up is A Football Life Bruce Smith. It highlights Bruce Smith's Hall of Fame career leading as the NFL's St. Louis Rams to victory. Known for his dominance on Bill Belichick, a coaching master, including his record-setting which focuses on the legendary coaching career of Bill Belichick in the year 2003, emphasizing his success with place in the NFL's and his unparalleled preparation and strategic NFL icon how Belichick's decision to start the legendary career of Jerry Rice, 2001 season, widely regarded as the greatest wide receiver to the Patriots' first Super Bowl title. Known for his incredible work ethic and production, including breaking the all-time touchdown record with his 127th career touchdown in 1994, further establishing him as the greatest until Tyreek Hill retires. Next is NFL icons Emmitt Smith. It celebrates the career of Emmitt Smith, the NFL's all-time leading rusher, who helped the Dallas Cowboys win 3 Super Bowls, including breaking Walter Payton's all-time rushing yardage record in 2002, solidifying his legacy as the NFL's most prolific rusher. Next is A Football Life Dick Vermeil, which explores his coaching career, where he was known for leading the Philadelphia Eagles, St. Louis Rams, and Kansas City Chiefs, where he was actually the coach for the Rams' Greatest Show on Turf Super Bowl win for Super Bowl 34, completing one of the greatest turnarounds in NFL history. Next is NFL icons Jerome Bettis, which follows Jerome Bettis, the Bus, as he powered his way into the Hall of Fame with the Pittsburgh Steelers. At Super Bowl 40, in his hometown of Detroit, a fitting end to his Hall of Fame career. After is NFL icons Bill Cowher, which chronicles his career, who coached the Pittsburgh Steelers to numerous playoff appearances and a Super Bowl win during his tenure, win in Super Bowl 40 with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Super Bowl title after years of close calls. Next up, we have A Football Life John Lynch, which is a look at the hard-hitting safety John Lynch, known for his leadership and defensive play with the Tampa Bay Bucks and Denver Broncos. His hard-hitting style was on full display in the 2002 season, where his leadership on defense helped the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win Super Bowl 37. Next is NFL icons Tony Dungy, which explores the coaching career of Tony Dungy and his Super Bowl 41. This one's actually pretty cool for me. The only guy. So I did skip a couple of Hard Knocks seasons I've ever met in my life. I did skip some other documentaries because he was in the Indianapolis because I only wanted to focus on the Hall of Fame players and the Super. So to be able to run into him and now actually talking about this is kind of a full circle moment. I doubt he actually remembers because it was kind of just a hi and bye thing. But hey, if he does, let him know to watch this video because I mentioned him. But next up, we have A Football Life Mike Holmgren, which highlights the coaching career of Mike Holmgren, known for turning around the Green Bay Packers and Seattle Seahawks, and winning a Super Bowl with the Packers, leading them to a Super Bowl 31 victory, their first title in nearly 3 decades. After is the helmet catch, which happened in 2008. It's a documentary on Super Bowl 42 and David Tyree's improbable helmet catch that helped the New York Giants upset the undefeated New England Patriots, allowing the Dolphins to stay as the only team with a perfect season in NFL history. I know I've mentioned the Dolphins a lot, but I can't really talk about them that much at the end of the season, so I have to do it now at the start. So, I'm taking advantage of this video. But next up, we have a football life, Kurt Warner, which chronicles the incredible story of Kurt Warner, who rose from stocking grocery store shelves to leading the Rams to a Super Bowl win, and later reviving. Cinderella story culminated with his MVP performance. This is followed by NFL icons Brett Favre, which highlights Brett Favre's career, focusing on his gunslinging style, Iron Man streak, and his Super Bowl victory with the Green Bay Packers. We also see this Hall of Famer's emotional performance the day after his father's death in 2003, throwing for 304 touchdowns on Monday Night Football. Follow us up with Brian Dawkins' Weapon X, which, speaking of Weapon X, if you haven't seen my previous video talking about how Deadpool and Wolverine, otherwise known as Weapon X, how they changed the events of Logan, I highly recommend watching that video. This video is not related to that one at all, but hey, Weapon X, Wolverine, there we go. I guess that's the connection that I need to get people to watch that video. But here, looking at the career of Brian Dawkins, the hard-hitting, emotional leader of the Philadelphia Eagles defense and a Hall of Fame safety, including his leadership and ferocious playmaking, were never more evident than in the 2004 NFC Championship game, appearance in over 2 decades. This is followed by a documentary that I mentioned earlier in this video, NFL Icons Ray Lewis, which chronicles Ray Lewis's Hall of Fame career as the heart and soul of the Baltimore Ravens defense, leading them to 2 Super Bowl victories. We'll see him leading the Baltimore Ravens to a second Super Bowl victory in Super Bowl 47, earning MVP honors as he retired on top. Next is A Football Life, Tony Gonzalez, which highlights his career as the greatest tight end in NFL history. Known for his consistency and longevity with the Chiefs and Falcons, including becoming the NFL's all-time leader in receptions for a tight end in 2012, solidifying his legacy as one of the greatest ever at the position. Next is NFL Icons Charles Woodson, a tribute to Charles Woodson, a versatile defensive back who won a Super Bowl and became one of the greatest cornerbacks and safeties in NFL history, including winning in 2009 as a member of the Green Bay Packers, demonstrating his elite skills as a defensive back. After is A Football Life, Calvin Johnson, which chronicles the career of Calvin Megatron Johnson, one of the most physically dominant wide receivers of all time, who retired at the peak of his powers. We'll see his record-setting 1,964 receiving yards in 2012, breaking the single-season receiving yardage record. The first season of Hard Knocks, we're going to talk about Hard Knocks Houston Texans. The Texans didn't win the Super Bowl in 2015, but the way that I treated the Hard Knocks series was I included all the Hard Knocks seasons from 5 years till now, all the ones from 10 years to 5 years if they made the playoffs I included, all the ones before that if they won the Super Bowl I included. So with that, we have Hard Knocks Houston Texans in 2015, which follows the Houston Texans through their 2015 training camp, showcasing the personalities and competition as the team prepares for the season. The intense training camp under head coach Bill O'Brien highlighted J.J. Watt's relentless work ethic and leadership. This is followed by All or Nothing, a season with the Arizona Cardinals, a very similar series to Hard Knocks. It's a season-long look inside the Arizona Cardinals' 2015 campaign, which culminated in a deep playoff run led by Carson Palmer and Larry Fitzgerald. Palmer's stellar season in 2015 led the Cardinals to a 13-3 record and an NFC Championship game appearance. Next is a football life Tony Romo. A deep dive into Tony Romo's career, from his rise as an undefeated free agent to becoming the face of the Dallas Cowboys. Known for his playmaking ability and leadership, we'll see his clutch 2014 season where he led the Cowboys to the playoffs with an incredible stretch of performances, highlighted by his comeback win against the Lions in the wild card game. Also, Tony Romo was the first NFL player. I was a Cowboys fan for a year, but at that point in my life, not really watching too much football. Easily switched over to being a Dolphins fan since I live in Miami. But from that, we have Peyton Manning's summer school, which follows Peyton Manning during his off-season preparation and study habits, providing insight into his meticulous approach to the game. Manning's preparation and obsessive attention to detail paid off when he won Super Bowl 50 with the Denver Broncos, becoming the oldest starting quarterback to win a Super Bowl. This is followed by OJ, Made in America, which may be the most popular documentary on this list, but for other reasons outside of the NFL. It's a comprehensive look at the life of O.J. Simpson, from his rise as a football star to his infamous murder trial, exploring the intersection of race, fame, and media. We'll obviously see the infamous car chase and murder case, but this is an NFL video, so we've got to talk about the athlete as well. And we'll see Simpson's record-breaking 2003 yard rushing season in 1973, making him the first player to eclipse 2,000 yards in a single season. After is the Brady Six, which tells the story of Tom Brady's NFL journey, focusing on the ahead of him in 2000 and how Brady became the greatest of all time. Eventually, we'll see him winning his 6th Super Bowl ring in 2018, cementing his status as the greatest quarterback in NFL history. After is Hard Knocks Oakland Raiders in 2019, which covers the Raiders team in training camp with a focus on coach John Gruden, quarterback Derek Carr, and the drama surrounding wide receiver Antonio Brown. We'll see the intense preseason drama surrounding Antonio Brown, including his helmet dispute and training camp absences. Next is All or Nothing, a season with the Philadelphia Eagles in that same year. It follows them through their 2019 season, providing an inside look at their highs and lows as they fight for a playoff spot. We'll see the Eagles' resilient 2019 season led by Carson Wentz, where they made a late push to win the NFC East and reach the playoffs. Next is Hard Knocks, the Los Angeles Chargers, which follows the Chargers through their 2020 training camp, showcasing the team's transition with rookie quarterback Justin Herbert and his emergence as a rookie phenom after unexpectedly taking over as their starting quarterback. After is Hard Knocks Los Angeles Rams, providing an inside look at the Rams during their 2020 training camp as well, as they prepare for the season under coach Sean McVay. The Rams' tough defense, led by Aaron Donald, was a key storyline during the season as they made a playoff run. After is the Dynasty, New England Patriots, which chronicles the 2-decade reign of the New England Patriots dynasty, led by Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, resulting in 6 Super Bowl victories. Obviously, we already got the Brady Six documentary, but this one does focus more on the team as a whole. And speaking of Tom Brady, we're following that up with Man in the Arena, Tom Brady, where Tom Brady himself reflects on his career, offering insights into each of his Super Bowl appearances and the key moments that defined his legacy, including his final Super Bowl win with the Tampa Bay Bucks in Super Bowl 55, giving him 7 career championships. He has 7 Super Bowl rings. 7 rings is something that one day, but she will never get to. Now, that Buccaneers championship in a lot of ways felt like an epilogue to his epic career, and it was the perfect ending until he decided to play an extra year, which I think ruined it a little bit, but he is still the GOAT. There's no question. After is Hard Knocks Dallas Cowboys, which follows the Cowboys through the 2021 training camp, focusing on quarterback Dak Prescott's recovery from injury and the team's high expectations. This followed by Hard